my fellow readers, this is Dark Symphony 777 with another fanfiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story. And finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of the world, so please respect that. So, going back, going back to the beginning of 2022. I didn't think I would ever actually review this story. What was the first? Yeah, we started with Mario this year. We're ending with Mario. Technically ending with Mario because it's classified as a Mario fanfic. So, Paper Chopper. What a way to end this year on. Oh boy. What a way to end this year on. Oh. What's even funny is I actually have a friend of mine watching me record because I told him I watched it on this story and he's like watching me. He's like rubbing his hands like, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what he has to say. But yeah, this story is so infamously bad. Why? And I'm not just reviewing the first Paper Chopper. No, I'm reviewing both of them because I want to bleach my brain in preparation for the fact I'm going to read the third story at the beginning of next year. So let's just get okay. I vented enough. Let's get to the actual plot. So, the plot! The big, gaping, two-chested... No, wait, that's the girl's plot. The actual plot is... What plot? No, I'm kidding. There is an actual plot. It's just... But why? So, here's what happens. In the first Paper Chopper, we have the Star Heaven, and we have the Star Rod. Everyone knows the story of Paper Mario. He put his headphones on, he's still waiting. You know what Paper Mario is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you know the story of Paper Mario, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The beginning of Paper Chopper 1 literally starts the exact same way as Paper Mario. And this is going to become a running theme of how much I hate this story. There is nary an original idea in these stories.
Oh boy, here we go.
Literally, 90% of both stories is just taken wholesale one for one from other media. Like one for one. In Paper Mario, you have the beginning, which has Bowser bust into Star Heaven, takes the Star Rod, wakes up Starus, quotation marks, Starus, the god of the stars that protects the star. Why is that stuff? Oh wait, it's Chaos from Sonic Adventure. And then we go to this distant planet named Clara with this boy named Chopper, who's just randomly watching TV. And he said, well, I've been to Dreamland, I've been to Mobius, I want to go on a vacation. And then he said, I'm going to go to the Mushroom Kingdom. Yes, he goes. He goes to the Mushroom Kingdom, sees Bowser destroying the entire city, and he's like, well, I'm going to fight you because I'm a hero. And then Bowser completely kicks his ass. They're like, okay. And then Chopper is knocked out. We're wondering, where's Mario? Well, Mario's in the Bean Bean Kingdom. Pretty much directly, he's literally doing the events of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga by himself. Why? Because Luigi's like at Mario's house. I don't know why. I honestly don't know. And so the story basically follows like Paper Mario 64. The first 8 chapters quotation mark, because he does it in the similar way Temple of the Sun does, where like every group set amount of chapters is a chapter. So And this is going to feed into how I'm going to change everything because that's actually going to be like a two-part video in of itself because I actually want to see what I can do with this story. And the plot is just basically Paper Mario 64 for the first 8 chapters, with the exception of chapter 4, which is one for one the entire plot of Gamma's story from Sonic Adventure. Yeah, you heard that right. And then the second half of the story, chapters 9 to 16, half of it is literally just a copy paste of Super Mario RPG Legend of Seven Stars. It's just, and then it gets just as bad in Crystal Star in the sequel, which is based off Thousand Year Door, where the first half is just the original Crystal, just the original Thousand Year Door, and then the second half is just a bunch of hodgepodge of ideas that the author is kind of cobbling together. It doesn't work. It's just a hodgepodge of ideas that instead of trying to incorporate it into seamlessly a unique way, the author's like, hey, you see that idea from Sonic where like the robot has to like fight his brothers to save the little birds inside it. Let's just copy that. Are you gonna add anything? No, I'm just gonna copy that. Give it. Meanwhile, there's more or less the base plot. Like there's a lot of minute details. Like the whole like there's a bunch of annoyances that kind of hound the main character Chopper throughout the entire story. In the first one, he constantly runs into Popple. He gets chased by Junior Troopa. Well, in the sequel, he has to deal with Grotus. He has to deal with Germroll from Sonic Battle of all things. He deals with Eggman for some reason. I don't know. He deals with the Shadow Sirens, the Shadow Brothers. He deals with Rockhawk's brother, who's a biker. I don't know. He deals with a random demon that's summoned by King Dedede because the author wanted to constantly reference the anime for some reason. He fights Ridley just out of nowhere near the end. Just like, why? And that's not even getting into the fact that the author did cut some stuff because you can actually tell. You won't be able to tell in the first story because it kind of cuts that out really well. But in Crystal Stars, he does cut out a certain fight. The fight is Mimi from Super Paper Mario. That was meant to foreshadow the fact that Super Paper Mario was going to be involved as well. But in the original story, he does cut one fight, that being the fight against Cackletta, which really comes out of left field. It's even more jarring now that it's gone, which is kind of weird. But that's it for the most part with the plot. It's just constantly copying stuff. Let's just move on. Characters. This is where we get to one of the three big problems I have with these two stories. The first one is Chopper himself. He's a Gary Steele. There is no getting around the fact he is a Sue. He is just a random 8-year-old boy who we're just automatically expected to respect. Everyone knows about. Excuse me. Everyone knows about. Says he constantly saved the world. We don't see him save the world. This ancient millennial demon named Aquano. He's the villain. Constantly tries to fight and kill this 8-year-old boy. Constantly fails. He has the entire planet Chopper is from. It's 7 continents based off the 7 worlds from Super Mario. Again, that's another thing he copied and pasted from. And yet, like, he lives in like a single house. Yet none of the guys ever actually go attack Chopper. They just leave him alone. Okay. And, like, there's a lot of issues where where you can tell that something is kind of wrong, but you don't know what it is. There's a lot of those moments throughout the story, and a lot of it has to deal with Chopper. He does stuff that you wouldn't really make sense of. There's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't really, that you just don't really care about his character. He's too perfect. He doesn't really grow as a character. He doesn't really have a character arc behind beyond him just wanting to save the world and get the Star Rod. And then when Bowser uses the Star Rod to, oh, okay, sorry, I accidentally hit my my mic. And then when Bowser uses the Star Rod too much, it splits off into Power Stars that he has to collect. And then the next story, he has the Crystal Stars. It's kind of, it's very, very messy. Like, you don't care about Chopper as a character. You care more about his partners than Chopper himself. And that also kind of extends to the villains. Like, you don't really care that much about Bowser. That's another thing in Crystal Stars. Like, why is Bowser doing? I get you're copying Bowser in your door, but is there really any reason for you to include Bowser? No. You already had Brodus and General. You didn't need Bowser. You didn't need King Dedede. Like, you really didn't. With the villain side, I mean, the only other villain, I mean, there's Maquano. Um, Maquano's just a generic bad guy. He's like, I just want to destroy everything. Do you have anything more than that? Not really. Granted, in defense of Maquano in Crystal Stars, the author did actually fix him up pretty much. So he actually went from a generic guy to like almost a pseudo Eldritch abomination. Like, that could outsmarted everyone for like over 800,000 words. And I think that's fine. Him being a sort of pseudo Eldritch, like a pseudo Cthulhu sort of figure, that works for him. That's fine. But also on the villain side, you also have another pet peeve is the Shadow Brothers. Now in Crystal Stars, yeah, I'm going to be splitting through both because it kind of they're two sides of the same coin, so it's worth talking. There's the only bad guys that I have a problem with the Shadow Brothers being, you're thinking, okay, you have these male versions of the Shadow Sirens. That's okay, that's fine. The problem with the Shadow Brothers is they're one for one just copy paste of the Shadow Sirens. They're right down to their personalities. You have the leader, who is a cruel, mysterious magician. You have the big, buff, silent one who can't talk. And then you have the guy lacking confidence who constantly gets put down, is the one that joins the group. Oh, why? That's literally just Shadow Stars. But they're even it join Chopper in the same way in Twilight Town with the Super Mom. And that's fine. It's like I don't know why. And that's not my understanding, but it's fine. But let's just move on. And then you have the partners from both stories. So from the first story, the author kind of does like a legacy thing. Like, he mostly he borrows two canon characters from the Paper Mario series, and then the rest of them are just at least new or somewhat new. In Super Paper Chopper 1, he has Koopa, who is like a tomboy Koopa, whose whole gimmick is that she just wants to have the hardest shell ever, so she's constantly trying to train her shell. She's trash because guess what? It doesn't focus on her character arc. And that's gonna be a running thing over like 90% of the partners. In the fact they don't really do much with the partners. You have Koopa, doesn't do much. You have Bruce, who is Bombette's girlfriend. Spoiler: Bombette actually shows up in the sequel. He just makes dumb jokes and complains about Bombette leaving. It's not much. Yeah, Parakarry, who's one of the canon characters. He's Parakarry. There's just nothing. Parakarry is just a nothing character in general, so I can't really blame the author for that. You have Chopper, which is like a robot chopper. Before you say no, he's super. He's like Robo. He like Metal Sonic. No, there is another character just like that. Chopper is literally just Gamma. His character arc is literally just Gamma, and that's fine. At least it kind of different. It's just once chapter 4 ends, the author just doesn't really do much with him until the end of the story, where he's like, "Oh, I'm dead. Well, I finished my job," and then he gets brought back to life. It's like, wait a minute, wait, what? Wait, I was all right with dying. I finished my mission. Come on, man. Why you brought me back to life? And then after Chopper, we get who was the partner we get after Chopper? Hold on, paper Chopper D. Because I completely forgot who his partners were. Actually, I'm literally just looking this up. Yeah. Oh yeah, they go to Yoshi's Island and they meet a guy named Yoshio who's just a ladies' man. And guess what? Just like Chopper, the author does absolutely nothing with his character until the end, where he kind of talks about he was only a ladies' man because his father was a ladies' man, and he was just learning what his father taught him. I mean, if he had a character arc earlier or explored throughout the story, I think that would have actually been fine. It's just the execution of it is bad because he has nothing, just nothing, but until like the very very end of the story. You have not Bubbles, just like you have not Blossom and not Buttercup. Yes, there's an entire part of the story that's literally just picture the Powerpuff Girls, but they're flowers. And my friend is now thinking, like, what? What? Flower Powerpuff Girls? Yes, Flower Powerpuff Girls. And Chopper gets stuck with not Bubbles, who's basically her whole character is Bubbles. If you know how Bubbles acts in Powerpuff Girls, I almost said Paper Mario for some reason, then you know how she acts here. And she doesn't develop at all. See a theme? You get Mallow, who's basically just Mallow from Mario RPG. Same character arc, nothing different. I mean, he's fine. At least the author kind of explains that one. It's like, oh well, the events of Mario RPG didn't occur in Paper Mario, so therefore it can technically still occur, even if it's just redoing it. Fine, the cheat right there. You have this guy named Ghost, who's basically just a ghost, he's a prankster. Okay, and then finally get Gino. At least they do something interesting with Gino, in the fact that Gino's kind of presented as the call to Stars' chaos, being that they were friends. Gino specifically actually wanted to join Chopper from the very beginning. It's just there was a lot of circumstances that kind of prevented him from joining at first. So, and once we did that, the author actually went ahead and did a lot of development over the rest of the story with Gino as sort of a friend. But there's someone I'm missing. There's one partner I'm missing. Oh yes, Bao. If there's one saving grace when it comes to characters in the original Paper Chopper, it's Bao. I like Bao. Bao is still a very sassy, over the top dude. Yeah, she's very much a very rude person. However, the author actually slightly does her better because they give her like more quirks and more things to do. Like she takes one look at like Koopa and Bruce, they kind of make a bet. No, like Bruce and Parakarry and Koopa kind of make a bet saying what is Bao gonna want with Chopper, and then it's like And then Bao it shows up. It's like, oh, I just wanted to see what you look like and talk to you. And it's like, yes. And then there's a running gag where like Chopper, where Bao kind of becomes infatuated with Chopper, but she acts on a tsundere, and she also kind of pinches his cheeks and stuff. And there's like a very, very obviously large amount of time dedicated to just developing the dynamic between Bao and Chopper. Like all the rest of the characters they barely got like even a single chapter. Bao got 2 chapters worth of development just with her relationship with Chopper. And that kind of makes me wonder why she didn't jump as like a partner in the sequel. With the sequel, it gets even worse because you got Bombette. She gets like Bombnesia, she thinks she's a pirate. Yarr! I'm a pink bomb. Bring me treasure. You get male Vivian, and then you also get regular Vivian from the very beginning. And I really, really hate what the author did with Vivian. Thinking, okay, why don't we just repeat Vivian's entire character arc again? Like, but why? No reason. Which is very, very, very lazy. You get the Yoshi. Vivian and Yoshi are the 2 non-actual canon characters, along with Bombette. His name is Scrubs. He has the same character arc as the Yoshi from Thousand Year Door. Fine. And then you get Kirby. Okay, there's a narrative reason why Kirby joins up with Chopper, because just like with Geno, Kirby was supposed to join out with Chopper from the very beginning, but then they got attacked. They got sideswiped by the X-Nauts and kind of was forced separated. Then you'll get not Amy Rose, whose whole character is, she was Chopper's friend when they were 2, and then they were like the last of their kind because Chopper thought he was the last of his kind. Then Barry shows up, and he's like, "Well, we're now the last of our kind, which means we must populate. Now give me kisses." And it's so weird. I mean, she kind of has a charm. I kind of like it. It's at least they try to do something different with Barry and not make her an exact duplicate of Amy. She's more of a tsundere than Amy being very vindictive. That's fine. And then you got Mario as a partner. What? And then you got Sonic as a partner. What? I'm confused. What? Why? How? Why? Oh yeah, because they wanted Mario and Sonic to suck Chopper's egg. Yeah. Yep. Just kiss up and said, here we go. Here's just random partners because I can't think of anything, so just take these 2 powerful characters for no reason because I can. And then you get Flyer, alright, he's not Tails. Again, does enough different that he's not a complete copy of Tails. I just think Flyer's interesting. And then we get the final partner, not Knuckles. Good God. I will say this, he's probably my favorite character out of these 2 stories. I liked not Knuckles. He's basically just a gigantic bully. It's like if these characters were facing with like a live or die situation, all of them will say, "Well, like I regret nothing and not changing," and then he will just look at the thing attacking them, about to kill him. So I didn't learn anything, and everyone else would just look at him. It's like, really? I don't know why. Because he's literally just a slightly dumber Knuckles. That's what this guy is. Like, he's just a slightly dumber Knuckles that just acts more like a colossal bully. And again, it does enough differently to separate himself that you can't really call him Knuckles. There's also like the difference between Timbre and Knuckles is the fact that Timbre's species is actually still alive. It's just Timbre was kind of a big bully. Like, his whole kind was like, oh, we're just the stereotypical bullies. And Timbre's like, well, I found this star that gives me lots of power, and I'm going to be the biggest bully ever. And so he literally went to this random island with a bunch of these people. Then he's like, grabs all of his people, like including what's implied to be his family, and then throws them off the island. It's like, you're getting off the island. You're getting off the island. You get off. And I just loved him. He's like the one bright spot in Crystal Stars that I just loved everything about him. Like, if the author made like an actual story just about this guy, I would love it because I just like this character. It's sure he's not gonna be for everyone, but there's there's going back to any more characters. There is also Tipral, who is not Shadow. He's not Shadow. Because unlike Shadow, Tipral is actually evil. But yeah, there's a lot of characters. There's only really like 2-3 characters that I like. Timbre, Tipral's alright. Gino's actually well done. Bao's actually well done. Maquanos, only in the sequel, is actually not bad. Yeah, that's it. That's it with the characters. Pacing. This is where the other two problems come in. The first one is there's way too much blood. There's just there is just such a gigantic amount of blood in both stories. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen in Super Paper Mario, Super Paper Chopper as well. There's just gonna be like half of it is gonna be bloat. Because honestly, there is so much bloat in both these stories. It's just I had to actually. Fun fact: there was so much bloat, I had to actually. I had to actually use the audiobook feature on the Fanfiction app. Yeah, on the Fanfiction app, there is an audiobook feature, and there was just so much bloat. It's like I'm just gonna turn on the audiobook while I work at my job and just listen to that. And it was the most boring drug ever. Like, from Paper Chopper 1, there's the whole thing with them constantly fighting Popple. Like, why is Popple there? Fine. You want to have your own interpretation of Junior Trooper? That's fine. But then also Junior Trooper shows up. Why is he there? If you already have a Junior Trooper figure in Popple, why is Junior Trooper there? Why is like all these random stuff happening? And it's so massively, the bloat plays so horribly in how everything is paced, because instead of exploring, you're just trying to rush through it. I get you're trying to have the story emulate the gameplay, which leads into the third problem with this series. It's how badly you incorporate the game elements into a written format. Now, I'm not saying that these elements can be executed that good. Of Blitz and Glory by the Yoshiator. I believe that was the original name before he changed the Lux Story or something like that. That actually did a very good job of incorporating the combat system, into a written format. It actually did a good job of doing that. So it's not a bad idea to incorporate it. It's just how the author did it was just so horrible that I just every single battle, for instance, it always ended up the same. It always followed the same pattern. First turn, Chopper does a power bounce, and honestly, that's kind of on a side note. The story does actually do a good job of pointing out how broken the power bounce and Bao is, because both of these abilities are both of these things are really broken. Power bounce can literally just let you one-shot enemies if you're able to get good enough at timing it, and Bao's out of sight is like so ridiculously broken that they had to actually nerf it twice in Thousand Year Door. They had to split it into 2 moves with like Boombella's Raleigh Wink and Vivian's Veil. So yeah, when a move had to be so broken that you had to separate it into 2 separate moves and nerf both those moves, kind of speaks how broken Bao was in 64. But yeah, okay, so back to the battles. It always starts with Chopper doing a power balance, the bad guy making some kind of comment, the partner making some kind of comment, or Chopper. The partner goes, the bad guy makes another comment, goes, charges some move, gets hidden by Chopper does a move, gets hidden by Bao. The guy does a super move. The bad guy does a super move, exclaims in surprise. It's like, they dodged the move, and this carries over into Thousand Year Door with Vivian Vale. And then they just rinse and repeat. It doesn't offer any variation. It's just it just gets boring after a while. Even like the small attempts of trying to do something different is just really, really dull and uninteresting, and I just don't care much of it. And so that's the big problem. The three big problems: Chopper's a Sue, way too much bloat, and poor implementation of the game mechanics into the story. And like I said, the game mechanics can possibly be adapted into a story completely. This is just not the way to do it. Grammar. There is a bunch of grammar errors. Not an obscene amount, but enough that you're actually able to notice. This combined with like the problems, the first like all the stuff cutting. I mentioned there was a Mimi was actually cut from the Mimi fight was actually cut from the Paper Chopper story. However, Mimi does actually still show up for some odd reason. She shows up somewhere around where I gotta actually go find it. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, somewhere in chapter 9. Yeah, somewhere in chapter 9 where where they basically just where Decoya, which is like a toad that was hired by King Dedede, said, "Oh, well, there's two demon beasts," and we get cut to a part where it, like there's a girl shouting me," which is Mimi's screaming in Super Paper Mario, and now it's still in there, despite the fact the fight itself is gone. And in the first story, there was actually two things cut. There was the Cacletta fight I mentioned, but there was another thing involving a running gag between one of the characters. So Maquano has a character named Bob. It's his brother. And Bob is basically just a smart Alec kind of D-bag character. And in the original version of Paper Chopper 1, Maquano and everyone always kind of called Bob a douchebag. I'm not saying that the curse is just... That's actually what he was called in the original version of the story. But when I reread this story for this review, all mentions of the word douchebag were actually gone, including like the setup for the super boss fight against Undead Bob because he dies. Where here lies Bob, the greatest douchebag in the universe. Like, now he's gonna haunt anyone who comes by with motorcycle revving. And I'm just confused. Like, why did the author cut this out? It's not. I mean, yeah, it's fine. Like, I won't say it. It's just mentioning it. But I'm just confused or why the author would cut this out. But yeah. I had more negative things to say about it, but I kind of had a rough week, so I'm just gonna leave it at this. Would I recommend this story? These two stories? No, not a chance. Not. There is no way in hell I'm gonna recommend these stories. They're just so bad. They are infamously bad. When I did that tier list, I mean what I said. Chopper is the bottom of the bottom tier. It's that bad. Favorite part from both stories: Timbre and Bao. One character from each. I like Bao and Chopper's dynamic, and I like Timbre as a character as a whole. Like I said, he's basically he's Knuckles, but he's also not Knuckles because this guy's more of an actual bully and a jerk. It's like, you gumball! You're a tulip. It's, tulip gumball! And I just love timbre. What would I do to change the story? I'm actually going to be saving those for 2 videos because I'm actually going to have a little fun with Paper Chopper and Paper Chopper 2 by doing a hard reboot. Like if I had to fix these, I want to be as thorough as I can. But honestly, if you want just the basic things with the first story, uh, make Chopper not a Gary Stew. They kind of went with the right direction with the sequel with Crystal Stars. Don't know how it's going to change in Super Paper Chopper. Um, Either get rid of the combat system or just better incorporate it, and get rid of a lot of the bloat. And also change the Shadow Brothers characters. Just, I don't care how, don't make them exact duplicates of the Shadow Sirens. That's it. So, my final thoughts. Uh, yeah, I can't wait to actually go over what would need to be fixed in better detail. I think it's fine. Uh, I don't really have much to say. Like I said, I've had a rough couple weeks. I don't want to talk about it. And it's really throwing me off my game. But I wanted to get these stories out of the way. And honestly, I can't wait to do the fixing part. The fixing part's gonna be 2 parts. One part's gonna be the first story. The second part's gonna be the second story. So look into that. So I will see you next time. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and